Hello and welcome back to Beau Talks. I'm your host, Beau Braden. Today's guest is Owa Odighizuwa. He is a graduate of UCLA in philosophy, a former third-round pick to the New York Giants, and CEO and mentor at MVP LLC based out of Portland. He was a mentor to me in high school and greatly impacted my football career, and I can't wait for you guys to meet him. All right. How are you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Well, yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I kind of wanted to get started and just ask how you got here. What was the journey to UCLA, to the NFL, to where you're at now?
Yeah. So I'm from Portland, Oregon. I wasn't born there, but I was raised there. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. Like I said, grew up in Portland, went to David Douglas High School. Got introduced to football in middle school when I was in 8th grade and played that sport all throughout my 8th grade year, throughout high school. And then I was fortunate enough to get recruited and get a scholarship to UCLA. I was one of the top recruits in the nation. And so I was getting recruited by a lot of schools. But I decided to go to UCLA for academic and athletic reasons. I really felt like they're one of the more prestigious universities, and I wanted an opportunity to be affiliated with that. And I saw that their football program was kind of on the rise with Rick Neuheisel at the time, so I just felt like it was a good move for me. So I ended up picking UCLA. I get to UCLA, and I'm there for 5 seasons. Played as a true freshman, as a sophomore, junior, and then I got injured during my junior year, and I had to redshirt my senior year and come back for my 5th year the next year. And so I did that. Had a really good year that year. Ended up getting invited to the Senior Bowl, to the NFL Combine, and did really well there and showcased my skills and everything that the scouts and NFL executives are looking for. And, I got drafted in the 3rd round and played for the New York Giants for 2 years, lived up in the Big Apple. And that was a very teachable moment for me. I learned a lot when I was there. Didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to from a football standpoint, but nonetheless, I can still say that I was able to achieve my goal of making it to the NFL and getting drafted. So after that, I signed with the Buffalo Bills as a free agent. I got released by the Giants. I was there for a little bit. And in the meantime, I was really thinking about what I want to do, what am I passionate about, what would be the next step for me after football. And once that happened, once I decided that I wasn't going to pursue football anymore, I decided I was going to start trying to give back the best way that I know how, because that's what I like to do, is to help other people achieve their dreams and goals and put them in a situation where they can actually attain that. And so that's what led me to starting MVP, which is it's a business, but it's really more so a vehicle for me to mentor young students, at least at the high school level. So I'm back at David Douglas High School mentoring students, and I'm actually in the process of starting a family foundation in which we would give back to single mothers and their children, trying to implement and create different initiatives and programs. So that's what I'm working on in a nutshell, but it's kind of all under the umbrella of MVP right now.
Awesome. And great choice on that avenue. I know you really helped me in high school coming up to Washington State, and then kind of through my transfer process. So I'm happy that you're getting into that avenue. I would like to just ask, coming from kid from Portland, what was that jump like going to LA and then eventually New York?
Man, that's a good question. It was interesting. I mean, when I first got to LA, I was overwhelmed by just how big it was. You know, I was like, man, there's just a lot going on here.
No doubt.
You know, everything is spread out. You got to drive everywhere, damn near to get from point A to point B. People are just a little bit more laid back out there. And I was just overwhelmed at first. The academics was a lot to handle when I first got there. Football was a lot to handle because it's coming from high school football to college football and having to learn the X's and O's and be on top of your classroom and all that stuff was very hard it was a hard transition for me for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
It was a good 2 years of like learning how to be a professional, you know, student athlete essentially was the grind for me. But I once my junior year hit, everything starts to slow down and I picked a major and I got my feel for LA and the people and how to move and stuff like that. So it was good. It was a good junior year. And then transitioning to New York, I was already prepared in that it's going to be another big city. But when I first got there, the first day I got to New York, I looked and I was like, man, I was just struck by the size of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, I didn't even know buildings could be this big. Like, I'm looking up and I just feel like a small dot in the ocean. You know, feeling so small and like, just I don't know I don't even know how to describe it. But it was cool though. It was a good moment for me just to be like, man, I've always wanted to play in the NFL and I'm in the biggest city in the world really doing it. So it was a good transition. I had a good time for the most part. People there are pretty cool. Lots of things to get into and to do out there. So,
and you went through a coaching staff change at UCLA, correct?
I did. I went through several.
And what was that process like?
It wasn't easy because you know you're trying to build rapport with the coach that's already there, and then they either get fired or they get another opportunity and they leave, and then you have to start all over again. And then for me, I was trying to learn the game of football, and with each coach that came, I had like 3 or 4 different D-line coaches.
Jeez. In
my time at UCLA. I believe it was 3 different coaches, 2 different head coaches, and like 4 different defensive coordinators in my time at UCLA. So
you're learning 4 different languages essentially. I mean, you're calling it different things that you may be having the same assignment, but it's a completely different language.
Yeah, it is a different language when you're dealing with different coaches. But I think my junior year really set me up for success because I really learned how to just compartmentalize everything and be more disciplined and just I think school helped me a lot too with just my learning process with football, you know, how to study better and just take better notes and pay more attention to detail and then put in my own work too, like after hours to understand what I'm learning. You know, it helped. My junior year really propelled me to understand how to deal with different coaches and different schemes and different languages and find a commonality in all of them and still be able to produce. And that's what it helped me do. I mean, I feel like I really do have a good grasp of the game of football because of it.
Do you think your rehab process helped make the game slow down with the amount that you were relearning playbooks and then watching other guys where you were usually out on the field. How did that impact you?
It impacted me a lot, actually. I was injured my junior year, and I played through the injury that year, the whole year. And then the following senior year, I had to get surgery on my hips, and then I had to shut it down for the whole year because I had 2 hip surgeries in the same year, and it was very hard to deal with. But from a learning standpoint, I learned a lot. I was a lot more observant, a lot more. I watched other people, other positions. I studied different body types, athletic movements, different football schemes, and it just gave me an opportunity to soak in a lot more information, not having to be like on the field and do like what the coaches are asking of me at that particular moment of time. I could just sit back and take in just what's the word? Visually learn.
Yeah.
I guess I was watching and taking practice reps in my mind, but studying other things to make my knowledge a little bit more complete. It wasn't easy rehabbing the whole year and not playing and feeling like, man, I should be gone by now. I wanted to be 3 and done, but I got injured, and now I got a red shirt and then come back for a 5th year. I was like, man, this is tough, but it definitely set me up for success in college doing it that way.
Do you think it impacted your leadership skills?
Most definitely. Because guys who were younger, I believe were asking me questions, and they were looking at to me as an example because they knew that I was established as a player. Going into my senior year of all years, they knew that this was the year to really make things happen. And instead I'm injured and I'm rehabbing, and they saw the work that I put into my rehab. And I would talk to guys, on the sidelines and in the meeting rooms and just helping them understand the game, understanding schemes and formations and things like that. I think that it definitely helped my leadership skills because I could have easily just checked out and just been over it and just ready to just move on. But that wasn't my mentality at the time.
No doubt. Kind of want to shift here. What was the moment for you in your career where you felt like, okay, I can really do something with this?
Yeah. For me, it was back in high school, actually. It was my sophomore year in high school, towards the end of the year, where I was starting to have some success. People were starting to give me some recognition, and I really started to have more confidence in myself that I can do some things. Colleges were like Oregon State was wanting to know about me and inquiring about me, and I was like, man, colleges want to have an interest in me. That's what really made me go harder and work even harder in high school to get to a UCLA, and that's what gave me all the dreams of getting to the NFL, was going to different camps and having success and stuff like that. That's what really gave me the vision of, man, I can actually make things happen for myself one day.
You and I have talked a little bit before on how mental health has impacted your career. Would you be willing to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. Yeah. I would say it's impacted my career in that I do believe that had I not had some of the mental health things that has taken place in my life thus far, I probably would still be playing.
Mm-hmm.
in to some capacity, because I know that athletically, if I was to start training again and really start giving myself and just giving myself fully over to that process, I could probably still be playing if I didn't have the mental health stuff that was holding me. That's kind of making that makes things a lot harder to do.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, of course. You told me a little bit how mental health impacted your physical health, loss of strength.
Oh yeah, for sure. When I was dealing with a lot of anxiety at that time, and I think I was dealing with depression too, but I didn't really identify it or recognize it at the time. But it was so bad that I lost my saw a decrease in my strength. Like I was known to be the strongest guy on my team at every stage of my career. Like in high school, I was the strongest guy on the team. In college, I was the strongest guy on the team. And when I got to the NFL, it was like somebody just pulled the rug from under me. Like my strength just declined like instantly. Like I wasn't able to and part of it was like I had soft tissue injuries here and there. But a good number of it, I just couldn't point. I didn't know why I was not able to produce the same amount of strength and force and explosion that I once had and I was accustomed to as a football player. And it just dawned on me as my time progressed in New York that my mental health had a huge part to play in that. And it got so bad to when I got released by the Giants, I was barely able to, I was struggling with 145, I believe. 145?
Oh my gosh.
Or 135. Whatever the bar and the 45-pound plate.
Yeah.
I was struggling with that. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Like, what am I doing here? I can't even bench 135. Are you kidding me? I was struggling. Like, that's how bad it got.
Oh my God.
Now my strength is all back, and that's what leads me to believe that if things were different, I probably would still be playing because my strength is still there. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I go to the gym, I'll not go for like months at a time. I'll go back and I'm like benching 315 pretty easily. So yeah, that's how I knew my mental health really affected my physical health, and that's how I know if it's really bad, mental health can have some real bad effects on your life. But for me, it's about managing and seeing the right people, and having the right support system around you to help you through that.
No doubt. I mean, when I was in the worst of it with my mental health journey, I mean, it completely impacted how, like, my self-confidence going out to practice, to play, all that. And there was, hesitation where it could be putting me in a worse position to go get injured. And then it got to the point where instead of being excited to practice, excited to go lift, it was anxious about my performance and waking up on time and that kind of thing. You see yourself as a mentor. I've seen you as a mentor. What has this process been like for you with your brother Osa coming up through the ranks? He was a 3rd round pick as well, correct?
Yes.
What were the kind of things that you've been telling him through this process?
Oh yeah. Well, it really started all the way back when I was I think I was in college when I was starting to really give him advice when I saw that he was getting recruited heavily by my D-line coach.
Mm-hmm.
My D-line coach really liked him as a player and thought he can have he can be a productive football player at the next level. Something that I didn't necessarily see right away until I saw him play in an All-Star game, and then as I was watching him a little bit more closely when he was at UCLA. And the number one thing I told him right off the bat was to take care of his body, no matter what. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. Because football is just, it's not a very forgiving sport. You know, if you're not healthy, you know, coaches tend to move on and want to see who else is available to play. If you're not healthy, it affects your mental health, because now you're, like you were saying, the anxiety, the desire to want to perform, and the excitement about it can be affected because you're injured and you're focused on the injury and trying to climb out of that hole. And there's just no good thing really. I mean, unless you spin it as a positive, there's nothing really positive about getting injured.
Yeah.
So I told my brother right away, take care of your body, do the stretches that you need to do, foam roll, the basic things, cold tub, hot tub, like be a pro early, start taking care of your body, because you're going to need your body when you're done with football. You can't, you know, when you're playing, you want to be playing at a high level and you want to be healthy, but when you're done playing, you want to still be healthy and maintain a decent lifestyle, and you're going to need your body to do that. So told him to do that right off the gate, and he listened, and he was taking care of his body real early, and he never got injured in college, which was like, because I was like, man, if he can avoid the injury in college and make it out, and he's productive along the way on the football field, he's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
And so,
which is so rare to see somebody to make it through their college career without an injury. Yeah.
I mean, he'll have like typical football bumps and bruises. Yeah. Like he has some ankle here, and he has some shoulder issues, but nothing where he had to get surgery or anything. It was, you know, I just told him those type of injuries, so to speak, you kind of gotta deal with it and play through those. But if it's like serious, like he needs surgery, then that's a different situation. And so we try to put him in a position to avoid all of that. I would I would try and like send him to like massage therapists and like stretch therapists, chiropractors in college, you know.
Yeah.
Making sure he had all those accounted for. And he just got, the thing about him is like he learned, like he took ownership of that. Like he took pride in making sure he took care of himself. And, you know, when you're young in college and high school and you feel invincible, and you damn near are, you don't really take care of your body. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll just shake it off and rest it off or sleep it off. When in reality, all those bumps and bruises and nicks and hits and all that accumulates, and it catches up to you if you don't take care of yourself. So that's what my emphasis was from the get-go. And then I started to add on to that, like make sure you take care of school, make sure you're networking with people, make sure you're exploring what you would be interested in if football was no longer an option for you. And so really got him in the mindset of like expanding himself just outside of football. Like make sure you enjoy it while it's here, but make sure you're taking advantage of other opportunities that football brings to the table.
Yeah, so, life after football, which a lot of guys don't think about. What kind of feelings arise when you're watching him out on that stage in AT&T as someone who's been there?
Man, I'm just proud. I'm very proud of him. Just knowing that he's put in the work. He's really worked his tail off. He's dedicated himself. He listened to good advice. He's being represented well he's surrounded by a good support system. And just watching him progress and get better and better as a football player is fun to watch because now we understand the importance of, we've laid the foundation of what it takes to be successful at that level. Now it's like we can really make leaps and bounds and progress, and to watch him do that is very fun to watch. Like I said before, I like to see people succeed, and I like to help people in the best way I can if I cross paths with them.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that happening for my brother is just something that I'm very proud of.
Awesome. Back to you. What are some of your goals with MVP? What's next for Owa?
For me, my goal is to like I said, I'm in the process of starting a family foundation, like a nonprofit where we give back to the community, specifically to single parents and their children, just kind of maximizing their potential and providing them resources and education and opportunity to be successful. That's what I'm in the process of putting together right now. I'm building the team that's going to help me make this happen. And we're just taking the necessary steps to ensure that we're successful every step of the way. So that's the next step for me, is to build a platform like that I could use to give back at a greater capacity.
I love to hear that. But again, thank you for coming on. Do you have any closing notes?
I would just say this, my advice for people who want to be they want to be successful. They don't know. They kind of don't know what they want to do per se, or they don't know how to do it. I would say just really study people who are doing what you want to do. Whether it's like going on the internet, YouTube, Google, whatever, Google whoever is successful, and kind of model yourself after them in the way, and try and get good advice along the way. Ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to find a mentor, if anything, somebody who can guide you along the way, so that you don't have to do things and feel like you're doing it all on your own. You can avoid a lot of mistakes. At least for me, mistakes that I've made, it could have been avoided had I had the right people in my corner guiding me to certain through certain points in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so my biggest advice right now is just people whoever's listening, young, up and coming guys, just don't be afraid to really seek out a mentor and really lean on people who've been there and done that, and listen. I always told my brother, it's better if you can learn the easy way or the hard way, why not learn the easy way? Why choose to learn the hard way if you don't have to? It could be expensive. It could be time consuming. It can have really negative consequences if you have to learn the hard way. But if you can choose between the two, I would choose learning the easy way every time.
Exactly. I love it. How can people connect with you?
You can connect with me on my Instagram or Facebook or really any of my social media platforms. I'm pretty, especially on my social media, I'm pretty open. Whoever messages me, I usually try and message them back. So yeah, you can do that.
Sweet. I'll link those in the show notes. Owa, thank you so much. This was fantastic. Let's stay in touch.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. That was Owa Odighizuwa. You can reach Owa at the links down below in the show notes. Thank you guys all so much for listening to this. It's been too long. I think I said before With mental health being a recurring topic on the show, it didn't feel appropriate for me to be talking about that while mine wasn't so great. But I'm in a lot better place now. I started therapy, and I got good people around me. So I just thank you guys. I don't know what this is gonna be. I don't know what it's gonna turn into, but this is just something I really love to do. And I get to give really cool people and interesting and inspiring people a platform to share their stories and tell stories that not everyone has heard. So I can't thank Owa and Alsada and the future guests enough, but this is really cool, and I'm happy to be back here. So thank you guys for listening and bearing with me, and to everyone new, welcome. But this is just cool to be able to do this. So with that, check out the links on Owa. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Beau Braden. And special thank you to Dylan Scott for assisting me during this and also making the theme music for Beau Talks. Thank you guys. Very grateful.